Okay, YouTube, we are back with Chef Leslie. She is one of the amazing chefs that contributed to Eat Like a Girl. And when we went to go put this book together, we really looked at it through the lens of using food as medicine. And one of the things that we know about food is it can really make or break how you think. And so what you don't probably know is that I actually did a video last week, which is already out on YouTube, about the foods you should avoid that actually are causing your brain to degenerate quicker.
Oh, I can't wait to watch that.
Yeah, do you know what those foods were?
Tell me.
They really fall under the ultra-processed foods.
Yeah, that's what I would think. I would think like high sugar, high processed. Yeah.
Which is really sad, and I hate to start this video off on like a downer, but literally the foods that are in your supermarket that are what we call ultra-processed, so highly refined flours, highly refined sugars with all of the bad oils, they are actually accelerating dementia and Alzheimer's rates right now, which are skyrocketing. And I'll give you a little behind the scenes just because I love showing up as my authentic self, that when we look at what trends and what people want to hear about on YouTube, dementia is quickly becoming the most popular topic.
Wow.
So put it in the comments if you're like, yes, please help me understand that. And then the other thing that I really want to be transparent about, and I mentioned it on the last video, is we're dealing with this subtle changes in my 88-year-old father. So, and this is really near and dear to my heart. And he's a beautiful man. And if you're watching this, Dad, I love you. But we have also been really working with him to get the junk food out.
Good.
And the more he eats the junk food, the more we see changes in his brain. So
the more you take the junk food out, the more you see the changes.
The more we take it out, the better changes in his brain, but the more he's left to his own devices,
the worse it gets.
Yeah, so it can be a matter of like a week where we're actually like see a big difference, my sister and I, if we haven't been monitoring his food.
Yeah.
And it's like he starts to forget where he is in a conversation, and it's hard. So if you have a loved one that's suffering with dementia, like I get you, like I'm there. So.
I do as well. I've actually had 2 family members suffer through it, and both eventually pass away.
Wow.
And it is one of the hardest things to watch someone that you love go through.
Yeah, because it changes your connection to them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's so hard too, because there's different kinds, but when you can look into their eyes and you see them and they don't know how to express themselves, it's one of the most heartbreaking diseases out there.
Yeah. So with that in mind, let's talk about what we can add in. And we'll link the video where I talked about what you need to take out to improve and slow down dementia and even prevent it. This video, I wanted to go to what you add in. And what's interesting is I actually brought Jim Quick. So those of you that know Jim Quick, he's really considered one of the top experts on brain health. I brought him to the Resetter podcast, and we went through this whole process of the top 10 superfoods.
Amazing.
That help your brain. And one of them was what we're going to talk about today, which is walnuts. So, and you know, I don't know if you all know this, but I really do like that idea that when you look at a plant like broccoli, even cauliflower, lion's mane mushrooms, walnuts, what do they look like?
They look like the brain, and they all help the brain.
Like nature did that? Like I feel like nature's like, hello, I'm gonna make this really easy for you. I'm gonna make this thing look like the organ it heals.
Yes, I know, and it does that all over nature. Like all of the foods that are naturally red are all the ones that are really good for your blood. I mean, nature just gave us the key to how to optimize our bodies, and we just have to open the door and let in that information.
It's so cool. So with that in mind, I want to tell you some cool things about walnuts. And what I love the most about them is because they're high in fatty acids, this actually brings up a really interesting topic, which is we want to get a good ratio of omega-3, 6, and 9. So on the last video on dementia, I talked a lot about how a lot of people who are eating these highly processed, highly inflammatory diets, they're actually bringing up the toxic omega-6s.
Oh, interesting.
So when they come in with an omega-3, so let's use my dad as an example. When he's left to his own devices, he eats these ultra-processed foods. They bring up the omega-6. So in order to bring that 3-6-9 balance back, I need to get in more omega-3s.
Oh, that's so interesting. So you need all three of them to be balanced at all times. So if one gets out of whack, that's when you get into a danger zone.
That's right. Which is why, actually, check this out. This is probably one of the most unknown pieces of advice that we just need to talk more about, which is if I'm not eating an ultra-processed meal or diet, then supplementing with a fish oil that's high in omega-3 is actually throwing me out of balance and actually creating an inflammatory response.
I'm so glad that you're addressing this because I don't think this is something that a lot of people know and understand.
Right.
Is there anything on earth that contains all three omegas that would raise it together?
Oh, we got to figure that out.
Yeah.
I don't know the answer.
I don't know the answer either.
Oh my gosh, I'm going to figure that out. But I will tell you, that is such a good question. So in case you don't know, Chef Leslie and I are on a quest to find how to use, well, she came up with this, 23,000 edible plants and how they support health. And then I'm bringing hormonal health to that.
Yes.
And then also just, how do we look at food as medicine, for God's sake? It is not to be dismissed. So we'll find the answer to that.
We will.
Okay, so here's what is especially interesting, and this is just straight from research, is that one of the reasons they believe walnuts are so good for dementia is because it's neuroprotective. So I want to talk about neuroprotective for a moment. So when we are constantly bombarded with toxins, we have these neurons in our brain that are carrying information. And when the ultra-processed foods, when a lot of the chemicals in our environment hit us, or we all know, hopefully you know this, that Alzheimer's is considered diabetes of the brain. What happens to those neurons is they start to shrivel up and degenerate. And now they can't carry information across. Mm-hmm. That's why dementia is like a stop of thought, because there's no neurons connecting each other. So what walnuts do, and their specific omega-3 profile, is they really help to protect those neurons. So it could be a really good add-in if you have a loved one who's like my dad, who's not always going down the right nutritional path.
Yeah.
So we need to think of it as neuroprotective. The other thing is that it supports neurotransmitters. We could do a whole series on neurotransmitters, because neurotransmitters, what they do is they're the chemicals that allow the thoughts to cross. Mm-hmm. So if dopamine, for example, is when you have a thought that makes you happy, dopamine gets released and it goes through the neuronal highways and you're like, this is amazing, this is exciting. Well, walnuts will help you make serotonin, make dopamine, so that you get that boost of enthusiasm, which might be why we're so happy.
I was going to say, is that why when you're going to eat this, you're going to be so happy? You're going to be on like the highway of dopamine?
It's really good. Okay. So with that in mind, with walnut as the dementia and Alzheimer's hero, what Chef Leslie did and put in Eat Like a Girl was a walnut pate. So talk about this.
Well, I love walnuts and I love cooking with walnuts because they are a great foundation and they're really easy to put in lots of different foods. And again, like Mindy is saying, they are a mega powerhouse of nutrition. And so this walnut pate recipe is just a fun dip. It's basically a lot of my favorite ingredients put together and then made into this kind of pate like mold. And so it's got walnuts in it, it's got sun-dried tomatoes in it, it's got mushrooms in it. Me too.
That was, by the way, tomatoes was another one that Dr. Lee taught me is, they call it anti-angiogenesis, meaning it stops blood supply to tumors.
Which is so incredible.
So, I mean, I know this is a video on dementia and Alzheimer's, but with sun-dried tomatoes, you really are upping those qualities that stop tumor growth.
That's amazing.
So cool.
That's amazing.
Okay, what else is in it?
It also, if we go to the recipe, it's got shallots in it. It's got a little bit of tamari, which is a gluten-free soy sauce, but it's pretty simple recipe. And then we're just serving it with some seed crackers. So I'm dying for you to try this.
Okay. So here you go. I wish you could try it. I feel like
they will try it. Get the book and you'll try it.
I know. I feel like you need to eat with me.
Okay, I'll eat with you. What do you think?
Oh my God. Oh my God. Okay, let's talk about pate. So I'm sorry if you're plant-based. We just have to point out that liver pate is usually like what everybody goes to. Mm-hmm. I don't really love liver, so I don't love gravitate to those pates, but this I gravitate to. It is savory. It has some, what's that sun-dried tomato taste? It has like
it's sun-dried tomatoes.
No, but what's the quality? It's a very strong
umami. It's got this sweetness condensed in the tomato, and then it dries out, and so it's just got this nice earthy sweet flavor.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay, this is like what I would bring. Like I would bring this to like a potluck,
and I'd
like put it down. I'd be like, boom. Mm-hmm. I might put my name next to it, and be like, okay, Mindy made this. So that I can get credit for it.
Yeah, you should, because this is a great dish to bring to people because it's just delicious. And again, it's one of my accidentally vegan recipes. It's not setting out to be like, ooh, have this weird vegan version of pate. It's just have a delicious spread and anybody's going to love it.
Okay, I'm going to have another one.
I got another book for you. It's called Eat Like a Girl. You will now know for your feminine body how to metabolically switch. I hope it helps.
So there you go. I the purpose of this video I really want is to help us understand that brain food, a lot of it, most of it, comes from the earth.
Yeah.
And so what's happening right now, why we're seeing these dementia and Alzheimer's rates go up, is because we're eating man-made food.
Yes.
But the minute we go to what Mother Earth created for us, now we're nourishing the brain. And so many of you have loved ones like we have that are dealing with dementia, and make them some of this and just put it in front of them, and it's a good counterbalance to that ultra processed foods. So Eat Like a Girl, it's out, and it is a hell of a cookbook. There's so much in it, and you can get this walnut pate in there ready for order now.
Yes.
And let me know what you think of the recipes. As always, hope that helps.
Okay, if you loved this video, you're going to want to check out the next video of my food series. On this video, want to talk about the healthy foods that you might be eating that will stop you from a long and healthy life.